Point with Mike Tipton is brought to you by Dubby. What is Dubby? Dubby is a clean energy drink that is made to give you focus with no crash, jitters, or angst like those other energy drinks have. They also have no maltodextrin fillers and don't use artificial dyes. Dubby contains vitamins, amino acids, a nootropic, and 150 milligrams of caffeine. Dubby's products are made in the USA in an FDA-inspected facility that strictly adheres to GMP manufacturing guidelines. All of the flavors are unique and custom-made by Dubby, and you'll never taste our taste anywhere else. The best part about it is they're affordable. Dubby's drinks come out to about $1 per drink, much cheaper than Starbucks or any of those canned energy drinks. To learn more, visit w.gg.com/discount/MRTipton33 and place your order today. Use promo code MrTipton33 and save today. Dubby Energy, be better. What's going on, everybody? I want to tell you about my new friends over at Cleverman. Visit them online at becleverman.com. What they gave me was the energizing face and beard scrub along with the Cleverman face scrubber. And trust me when I say this, the energizing face and beard scrub smells amazing. Combining it with the face scrubber, making sure that your boy was looking as good and sexy as possible, opened up a whole different sensation in my face that I haven't ever felt before. I felt so clean, so fresh, and so clean, like Outcast said, and it helped me feel like I was ready for my day. Make sure you visit them online at becleverman.com and follow them on Instagram at clevermannyc. The link is up in my bio if you want to check out all the amazing products they have. Visit them online, becleverman.com.
Coming live from the VIP, heard the nightlife, lost life without me.
Trying something a little different here on the show as we get everything started, ready to go for you on a Thursday. It is time for us to get into the tipping point with Mike Tipton. I hope everyone is having themselves a good time, whether you're doing that on Facebook, on YouTube, on X, or on Instagram, as I see some people are tuned in right now over on the Instagram feed. Shout out to Oli, who's tuned in over there on the Instagram feed. I know we'll be having some other people tuned in a little bit later on, so thank you all so much. I see my guy Tommy Cananza already tuned in over on YouTube. Yes, buddy. So, the best parts about doing this, Ginger, your food is going to be on the counter right next to the series. The best part about doing a show live whenever you got kids that are home still on spring break is every now and then, especially a 7-year-old is going to come in and be a part of the show. They just woke up, probably because their dad is loud as all hell. I don't even know if I'm like that loud. I feel like I am loud most of the time, but I don't know, right? Like I genuinely don't know whether or not I'm extremely loud or not. But the cereal is made. The cereal is good to go. And Ginger should be having himself a good old time. Remember, we are live on Roku right now via National Streaming Sports. Shout out to our friends over at National Streaming Sports. I want to give a big thanks to the people that tuned in yesterday, Chris Babcock, Augustine Pimentel, and of course Tommy Cananza, who tuned in yesterday while I was just getting berated left and right for simply existing as a Dallas Cowboys fan. A whole show that was built to not talk about the Dallas Cowboys spent a whole lot of time talking about the Dallas Cowboys. Remind me again how this is not America's team. Seems like some people just don't know. Nonetheless, as I'm trying to check out all the stuff that we've got working over here. Okay, some stuff is working, some stuff isn't working. We'll worry about that stuff on a later time. The Crooked Commish tuning into the show saying, what's good with you, Crooked Commish? Hope everything is doing well today. Tommy's saying that the music in the background keeps playing, so now I got to find a way to turn that off. All right, I'll just turn that off. Thank you, Tommy. See, that's interesting because I couldn't hear the music playing in the background. So now that I know, I appreciate you letting me know that, Tommy. Thank you. Thank you so much. I hope that is better. So Again, yesterday, I'm getting called out for being simply existing in the world as a Dallas Cowboys fan, and I thought it was one of the more hilarious things that I have been a part of is just simply that, right? And it's like, I don't understand why we keep talking about the Dallas Cowboys. Tip, stop bringing up the Dallas Cowboys. And not one time was I the person that brought up the Dallas Cowboys. I was happy not talking about the Dallas Cowboys because, again, this team has gone on to do something that I don't want them to do, which is give me hope that maybe, just maybe, they'll be a halfway decent team. But somehow, some way, the Dallas Cowboys dominated the conversation yesterday. The way that it always is, the way that it always should be. I apologize to anyone out there that's not a Dallas Cowboys fan that has to listen to just a constant berating of the Dallas Cowboys. We're not going to do that today. What we are going to do right now, as a matter of fact, Tommy, you're right, 100%. They kept bringing them up. I didn't even do it. I didn't do it. It wasn't me. In the words of Shaggy, it wasn't me. So I do one bracket every year, just one bracket. I'm not one of these people that goes out and says, you know what, I'm going to do 94 different types of brackets and stuff like this. I basically find the one, I fill it out, I go on my happy, merry little way. And that's what we're going to do here together as well. Now, obviously, if you've got some questions, if you got some things you want to get off your chest, you got the comment section to your disposal. You can be a part of whatever's going on in the comment section, whether it's on YouTube, Facebook, or X, and of course, over on Instagram as well. The only thing that sucks about Instagram is I can't show the comments on Instagram over here for whatever reason. Not 100% sure why, but whatever reason, right? So, real quick, we're going to go through this because I'm not going to spend a whole bunch of time trying to break down and pretend like I've been watching college basketball all year, because if you got someone that's pretending they've watched college basketball all year, 1, they don't have a life. 2, they're more than likely single. 3, I guarantee they're a virgin. And 4, they're lying to you. That all felt a bit much. So, the round of 64, the first game that we have here, number 1 Auburn taking on number 16 Alabama State. I was wrong, okay? I admit it. Back in 2017, I said that there was going to be no way in hell a 16 seed would beat a 1 seed, and it's happened twice. But I'm still not going to pick the number 1 seed, 16 seed upset. It just doesn't seem like something that's going to happen that way. Want to give a shout out to the Cigar Joker who tuned in over on Instagram. We are continuing here. The second game here, Louisville versus Creighton. I'm going with Creighton to pull off the upset. No real reason why. I just like a 9-8 matchup. Then, of course, everyone's favorite, the 12 versus 5 matchup, 5 versus 12 matchup. I'm going with Michigan on this one. It doesn't happen enough in the NCAA tournament for me to be like, oh, yeah, no, I'm super comfortable picking a 5 to lose to a 12. Texas A&M taking on Yale. Yale came into the Sun City and won. Or I guess, did they win? I'm trying to remember if they won. But they played UTEP hard in the Sun City in the Don Haskins Classic, and I'm going with Texas A&M to get the win there. Going with the upset because I said it this whole time, guys. North Carolina is not an 11 seed, and having North Carolina in that Cinderella role, I'm here for it. I'm here for the chaos that's going to give. Ole Miss, the SEC, always super overrated. I'm going with North Carolina and watch North Carolina absolutely dump the bed and wind up losing this game by 40. Iowa State over Lipscomb, going with Iowa State. Marquette and New Mexico, a 7 versus 10 matchup. This is always a fun one to me because I don't see much of a difference between these two schools, between these two teams. I'm going to go with New Mexico just because of the proximity to West Texas. New Mexico completing the upset over here. Then Michigan State versus Bryant. We're going with Michigan State, the number 2 seed. I feel like Michigan State is a number 2 seed way damn like all the damn time. It just feels like it's that way with them all the time. Florida over Norfolk State. Oklahoma and UConn. We're going with Oklahoma. Tommy, you should be happy with that pick right there. Boomer Sooner. Shout out to my mom. Memphis versus Colorado State. We're going to go Memphis with the 5 seed over the 12. Maryland and Grand Canyon. We're going with Maryland on that one. This is not looking like it's going to be a fun one here. Missouri versus Drake. We're going to go with Missouri. Texas Tech versus UNC Wilmington. If you can't see the red flag hanging out behind me, then you know nothing about me. We're going to wreck them, Tech. Kansas and Arkansas. Man, 7-10. I always love a 7-10. Those are always so hard for me. But we're going to go with Kansas. The Vampire, Rick Pitino, back in action, becoming the first coach in the history of the NCAA to take 6 teams to the NCAA tournament. We're going to roll with the number 2 seeded St. John. Shout out to Adwar Nails, who just tuned in right now. She nailed your girl. Trust me, I know it. I seen it. I watched it with my own 2 eyes. Duke over Mount St. Mary's. I wish I can go with the upset here. I hate that Duke is a number 1 overall seed. Baylor and Mississippi State. We're going to go with Baylor pulling off the upset. 9-8, not much of an upset to me. Oregon versus Liberty. Let's go ahead and bring on Oregon because I've seen enough Conference USA basketball to know that Liberty not going to make any noise in the NCAA tournament. You can see that I'm hovering over it, though, because it feels like I want to. It feels like I want to go with the upset here. But we're going to go with Oregon over Liberty. Not pulling the trigger on that upset right now. It feels like I'm really chalky here, guys. I'm going with the favorites all the damn time. Arizona versus Akron. We're going to go with Arizona on this one. BYU versus VCU. We're going to go BYU. Why the hell not? Because Virginia Commonwealth University is not a school that I really believe any of you knew was the name of the school until I said that VCU was Virginia Commonwealth University. I might be the only person watching this, whether it's on Roku, whether it's on YouTube, Instagram, X, or Facebook. I'm the only person here that knew VCU was Virginia Commonwealth University. Wisconsin over Montana. We're going to go with that. Vandy and St. Mary's. We're going to go with St. Mary's. Bama and Robert Morris. Who the hell was Robert Morris, and why does he get a school named after him? Houston versus SIUE. I don't even know who that is. What is that? South Indiana University of Europe or something? I don't know. Gonzaga and Georgia. We're going to go with the Zags. Clemson and McNeese. Here we go. We're going with the upset here. There's always one. And I'm going with that upset. Destiny saying, go Duke over on Instagram. That is disgusting. I can't believe that you are cheering for Duke. It's one of the more gross things I think I've ever heard in my entire life. Go Duke. Those words coming out of my mouth damn near made me throw up. And I've seen and done some pretty disgusting things for that to be the most disgusting thing I have ever read. Purdue versus High Point. We've all been high at one point, but we're not going with them this year. Xavier versus Illinois. Despite the fact Xavier got a win over the University of Texas yesterday, we are going to roll with Illinois on this one. Kentucky and Troy, we're going Kentucky. UCLA and Utah State, UCLA. And then, of course, Tennessee and Wofford. Look at that. It just took that long to get through the first round of the NCAA tournament. But we are doing it so far, guys. I know today I am going to be basically useless. I have 2 things that I need to do today, and then it's just going to be mainlining NCAA basketball straight into my veins for the next 2 days. I am here for it. Want to give a shout out to my guy Jaime Pinkman, who tuned in over on X and liked the show that we have going on so far. Always a fun time whenever I get my people tuning into the show. Going into the second round, the round of 32, Auburn versus Creighton. We're going to go Auburn here. Michigan versus Texas A&M. Michigan with the upset. North Carolina. Tommy Cananza, where's UTEP? We never make it. Where's UTEP? I don't even know if they're going to be in like the NIT or the CBI or any of these things. Maybe this is what we ought to do. We ought to create our own NCAA tournament. I learned yesterday that there are over 300 Division I basketball teams in the United States. Over 300 Division I basketball teams in the United States. Out of those 300, 10%, 30 of them have never been to the NCAA tournament. And what I want to do is I want to crown number 300. So even if you're the worst team, because you guys already know how I feel, bad plus bad equals a fun game. I feel like if we just got an invitational for those bad schools to where we can say whoever is the worst, like whoever loses the worst in this tournament in the first round, you are unequivocally the worst school in college basketball, and then crown all the way up from 336 to 330. And I feel like that would be a fun tournament to watch. Shout out to Moy the artist who tuned in over on Instagram as well. We are going through the NCAA tournament bracket right now. I imagine it looks really weird here. Mireya Reyes saying the bronze bracket. I don't even know if we can go bronze bracket. I feel like we've got to go like something worse than bronze. Like we can go like the iron bracket. No, that sounds too strong though. It's like the aluminum bracket, right? Because like you like obviously the NCAA tournament, that's going to be platinum or diamond or whatever, right? And then the NIT, that's going to be like your second tier. That's going to be your gold or silver type bracket. And then you just like keep moving down and down and down. We're talking about the bottom 30 of the 300 teams that are in the NCAA Division I bracket that could be in the NCAA Division I bracket. The aluminum bracket. I think that's what we got to call it. The Coke can. Oh, and it'll just be like a big, like we get it sponsored by Dr. Pepper or somebody like that. We have the tournament here in El Paso because obviously, the 10 bracket. And then we can have it looking, we can have the trophy looking like the Tin Man from the Wizard of Oz. I am here for it. I like the bronze bracket, Mireya, just because I love me some alliteration. But damn, I love the concept of it. It's just bronze is too good. Although I feel like if we call it that, that might have more of a prestige where teams will actually want to play, because I feel like if it's just like teams are placating to me and my weird sense of humor of, hey, I want to do this tournament and show everyone that you guys are pretty bad. Mireya saying steel is the cheapest material. Oh, man, we can go like wood, the paper bracket. Like everyone just gets a gift certificate to Chico's Tacos so that way they can have diarrhea on the way home to whatever city it is that they're going back and forth to. Bill Spaghetti 50 joining in over on Instagram as well. Shout out to y'all. We are currently I was going over my bracket. I'm filling out the bracket. I only do one bracket a year. I don't do multiple brackets. It's just in one bracket. I always do it on ESPN because obviously I'm a simp that used to work at ESPN, so I'm always going to give them a little bit of love that I don't give some of the other places that are out there. The paper bracket. Oh yeah, no, 100%. Like I am all about let's because I feel like that would be a thing too, right? Like March is supposed to be about all of these tournaments. Well, you got teams that already know like they're not going to be in the tournament, they're not going to be in the dance, they're not going to be able to do any of this stuff. So why not give them something a little extra, right? Even if it's a gimmicky, fun tournament, maybe we can do it like what golf does with the Waste Management Open in Arizona during the Super Bowl weekend, where it's just a fun-ass time for all of the fans that are involved. I think I'm really going to look into maybe trying to start something like this. Like, we're the Asarco bracket. Mireya, that damn near killed me. I started laughing and I had to cough. That damn near killed me. The Asarco bracket. We got to give shout outs to that, right? Oh no, I'm a horrible human being. Jesus. I was going to say the Bath Riot bracket. Just because, again, alliteration. Guys, I am all about alliteration. I need to move on before I get myself canceled on my own show by myself. What a fun time that is. Minor Mike saying, haha, that's a good one. Hey, you never know. Hey, look, man, we're just trying to figure this out. All we're trying to do is make sure that we're giving love to the teams that are overlooked, the teams that were rightfully overlooked because they were more than likely terrible. Okay, moving on with the bracket. North Carolina versus Iowa State. I'm going to go with North Carolina here. Again, I'm telling you, North Carolina at 11 is not a Cinderella. North Carolina is owning the Cinderella bracket right now, And North Carolina, to me, is not an 11th seed. North Carolina versus Iowa State, I'm going with North Carolina on this one. New Mexico versus Michigan State. New Mexico, you got your one win. Now you're getting kicked smooth the hell out the tournament. Florida versus Oklahoma. Oh, Boomer Sooner, Tommy. Let's go. We're going to go with that one right there. Memphis versus Maryland, 5 versus 4. Let's go Memphis on that one. Missouri and Texas Tech. You already know where I'm going. Wreck 'em Tech, baby. Kansas and St. John's. Oh, man, that's going to be a good one. Got to think about that one, but I'm going to go with St. John's here on that one. Want to give a shout out to _ It's Angel Photography that just joined in over on Instagram. Thank you so much for being a part of today's show. Minor Mike on my side saying, go UNC. There we go. Either that or you're calling me Unk. I hope you're not calling me Unk. Moving on to the East bracket, Duke versus Baylor. We're going to go with Duke on this one. That was disgusting. I almost threw up having to deal with that, saying the words Duke on that one. Oregon versus Arizona. Let's go Arizona on this one, baby. Michigan or BYU and Wisconsin. Let's go with BYU pulling off the upset right this. St. Mary's and Alabama. We are going to go with Alabama on that one. Tommy Cananza saying, my daughter likes to piss me off. So she's saying she wants to go to Texas. Oh, no. A family divided. I was asked that question the other day, right? Like, if my kids became professional athletes, and as a Yankees fan, if Jericho became a player for the Red Sox, or if Jericho went to college to support or like went to Duke instead of North Carolina or Texas Tech. And I sat there and I had to think about it and said, I would get a jersey with his number on it that has the school name on it, but it's in North Carolina or Texas Tech colors, right? Like, that's what I would do. Like, even if he was a Red Sox player, I would get a Yankees jersey with his number on it and with, I guess it would be my last name as well, with our last name on it, being like, look, this is what we've got to do, my guy. So, Tommy, how are you, like, if your daughter does go to UT, what are you going to do? Because that sounds like a nightmare. We're living the nightmare. Continuing in the Midwest here in the round of 32, Houston and Gonzaga. We're going to go Houston on this one. We're going to go Houston on this one. Mireya saying, selfish, your time is done. I know my time is done. Look, my time never even started. I don't think I had a time. Like, there was no clock ticking for my success. So I've got to live vicariously through my kid. I'm obviously going to support them in any way that I possibly can. Even if if my kids go to Duke, Jericho and Jinder decide they want to go to Duke, I'll be there. I'll be having a good time. I'll be supporting the hell out of them. I'm just not going to like the team. All of the success they have, all the success the team has, in my mind, will be simply because of my kids. Want to give a shout out to Southwest Auto Group of El Paso that just joined in over on Instagram as well. Linda McGrath saying, hey, Tip, hope you have a great show. Merci beaucoup. Tommy Canazza saying, I'll have to support UT. Once again, just for that small period of time, right? Just that small period of time. 4 years, 5 years at the most. Maybe we have another pandemic. You get 8 years like Cam McCormick had. Was it Cam McCormick? I'm trying to remember who was the tight end over at the University of Miami that spent 8 years of eligibility in college. McNeese versus Purdue. We're going to go with Purdue on this one. Kentucky and Illinois. We're going to go Kentucky. And then UCLA and Tennessee. We are going to go with UCLA pulling on the upset. Mireya saying, exactly, Tommy, you got to support your kid. And then Tommy saying, I'll throw up, but I'll support her. No, it's 100%, right? Like it's 100%. It's like those parents whenever they have the kids in the NFL or in the NBA that play against each other and they have to get like the split jersey. Like, I feel like that's one of the things that I would do. I also would love to see like Jericho and Jinder going head to head. Jinder is going to have the youth on him. Jericho's going to have the size on him. Let's see how this goes. There we go. Yeah, I was right. Cam McCormick. 8 years. 8 years of eligibility. And I get it, there was a lot of injuries and stuff like that, but man, he was living the Van Wilder dream right there. Could you imagine? You're 27 years old, 27 years old, and your teammates with an incoming freshman that's 18, 19 years old. That just sounds like a nightmare scenario for me, man. I felt that way whenever I was going to UTEP because I wasn't like the traditional student, right? Like after getting out of the military, I was in my 30s whenever I was going to UTEP, and I was like, Jesus Christ, man! Like I'm old, and a lot of the times it was like, oh, Mr. Tipton, can you guys like hook us up with some tickets over at the radio station and this and that, because they would hear me whenever I was on KLAQ and doing all the weird random stuff it was that I was doing. I know for a fact that I passed a couple of classes simply because I was on the radio. And the radio should not have that kind of power. I'm not saying my degree is fraudulent. It's a real degree. I earned that MFer. Mireya saying, Mr. Tipton. Yeah. Still one of the weirder things that I got to get used to. And again, my initials are Michael Robert, right? So MR are my initials. And all of my social media stuff is MR Tipton 33. And I got so tired of explaining MR Tipton that I just turned it into Mr. Tipton 33. If you saw what I put on social media the other day, my good friend Pat, learning just then, after doing 8 years of working together, we met at ESPN. We do Bob, Jim, and Pat Get Drunk on the internet. We've done that for almost 5 years now, but 8 years of knowing each other. He just learned that the MR in Mr. Tipton 33 was my initials. It's funny how men can be friends that way, right? Like you can know absolutely nothing about your friend and still be like, no, that's my friend. That's my best friend, as a matter of fact. Tommy Cananza saying it's 8 years. She wants to be a doctor. Oh man. I don't know. Maybe she can do the Ken Jeong thing, right? Where Ken Jeong went to Duke, got his undergrad at Duke, but then went and got his doctorate at the University of North Carolina. So maybe, just maybe, she goes to UT, she gets her undergrad there, then she goes to OU and becomes a doctor there, Tommy. The best of both worlds, my friend. The absolute best of both worlds. Continuing the bracket, we're now in the Sweet 16. Auburn over Michigan. North Carolina, this is where Cinderella comes to an end, losing to Michigan State, and that hurts for me to say that. Oklahoma beating out Memphis. Texas Tech with the upset over St. John's. Duke over Arizona. BYU and Alabama, we're going to roll with Bama. Roll Tide, baby. Houston, Purdue, we're going to go with Houston. Kentucky and UCLA, we're going to go Kentucky. We are now in the Elite Eight, and it's not all chalk. There's a lot of chalk, but it's not all chalk. We're going to go Michigan State over Auburn. We're going to go Texas Tech, wreck 'em over OU. Sorry about that, Tommy. Boomer Sooner down, bud. Duke and Alabama, we're going to go with Duke. I hate that. Augustine saying, watching this show while taking a long bath is so cool. Shout out to Drea Thomas and Gaines_SAP over on Instagram who tuned into the show right now. Augustine saying, watching this show while taking a long bath is so cool. I am uncomfortable. And it takes a lot for me to be uncomfortable. And I'll give you an example on this. Whenever I was working at a local radio group here that has a heart in the name, one of the bathroom doors, the lock on the door was broken, and the general manager, I guess, had an emergency, and he busted in that door, and I'm standing there with an appendage in my hand, doing what you do in the bathroom, urinating. It sounded bad the second I said it, but I'm standing there urinating. I just look over and I'm like, what's up, bro? And he kind of like, oh, sorry, steps back, waits by the door. I wash my hands, I do my thing. Meaning, my boss saw me using the restroom, and I was not uncomfortable in that aspect. But Augustine, you saying that you're watching the show while taking a long bath is arguably one of the creepiest things that I think I have ever had come out of my mouth. Tommy Cananza saying there is his creepy comment of the day. August Ferratu coming back at us. August Ferratu. Drea Thomas saying good morning. Bonjour. Hope that you are doing well today. You can check out Drea Thomas on Mixed Connection Radio. That is an internet radio station. All of one of the cool things that are going on here in the city of El Paso. Drea Thomas on that morning show from Mixed Connection Radio. Shout out to Amber Bonda who tuned in right now. Amber _Bonda 915. You can always check her out on K-Hay Country as well. Mireya Reyes saying that was a very Silence of the Lamb comment. It was, wasn't it? Like Augustine just sitting there like, I'm watching the show while I take a long bath and sip on a bottle of Chianti. Tommy Cananza saying, I feel like Augustine thinks that that he's going to have all the women comment on that one. I was actually talking to Mireya about this the other day. It surprises me how my show, for being a sports show, has such a wide swath, right? Because even whenever I was at 1380, the show and like social media and all that was 60 to 70% women, as opposed to what most sports shows are, which is just an absolute sausage party, right? So for me, I was always surprised about that, man. It's awesome having a bunch of women tune in the show, but Augustine, you're going to run them away. You're going to drive all of them away. He's like, seriously, no, don't comment. Just enjoy. I'm going to say that, Augustine, in the voice that I heard that comment in, okay? And it's, no, seriously, don't comment. Just enjoy. That's what that sounded like, Augustine. Tommy Cananza saying that backfired, Augustine. That backfired. But I have to say that the show in the afternoon with all the experts is so much fun. It is fun, and I'm always glad that I get to be a part of that. The National Professional Sports Show. It was, again, they planned the entire show without wanting to talk about the Dallas Cowboys, and somehow, some way, the Dallas Cowboys became the topic of conversation. And I didn't even do it. It wasn't even a me thing. That just shows you. That just shows you. Continuing with the bracket in the Elite Eight, the final matchup in the Elite Eight is Houston and Kentucky. We're going to roll with Houston on this one. Okay. So now we're in the Final Four. Here's where we can start giving up a little bit of love to some of these teams here, right? So number 2, Michigan State taking on number 3, Texas Tech. This will be the third time, if it works out this way. Mireya saying, here we go. It only took 33 minutes. It only took 33 minutes. I don't know if that's about the Cowboys talk or if that's about me finally getting to the Final Four. But here we are. We're finally at the Final Four. Michigan State versus Texas Tech. I believe Texas Tech will win that game. Texas Tech, again, great size, great guard play that Texas Tech has, all the generic stuff that you hear. Question for all, when did bracketology become a thing? I actually have an answer for that, Augustine. I will get back to that in a second. Just let me finish up this part of it. Then I will let you know. I will let you know exactly when it became a thing. Mireya saying the Cowboys conversation. It was a Cowboys conversation. It took 33 minutes for us to get there. Augustine saying, hi there, Mireya. Wink, LOL. That is creepy. And I know all about creepy. I believe Texas Tech gets the win over Michigan State, and I believe that Duke will get the win over Houston, the 1 seed versus the 1 seed. We wind up going over to the NCAA championship game in San Antonio, Texas on April 7th. And I believe in my heart of hearts, the champion of this game will wind up being Duke. And I hate to say that, but it is the way that it is. Duke and Texas Tech. I believe they're going to put up some points here. So your tiebreaker is how many points will be scored total in the championship game. I believe it's going to be anywhere between 165. What that means is I believe the score is going to be in the mid-80s for this game. And I can see both teams getting into the 80s, or one team getting into the 90s, the other one getting into the 70s, right? I can genuinely see it that way. Congratulations, Duke fans. I feel like your team is going to win themselves a championship. You can see that as much as I want to be biased, I am not. I had Carolina lose, and I had Texas Tech lose. And if UTEP was in here, I would have had them lose in the first round as well. I submit my bracket. The bracket is done. I am not going to show you all my address, so we'll get rid of that. Actually, no. I don't even know what that is. I'm not going to fill that out, whatever that is. And we have Duke doing their thing. So there you go. Tommy Cananza saying you might as well just make it a Cowboy show. Fans and haters will tune in either way. I agree with you 100%, Tommy. I 100% agree with you. The fans and the haters will always tune in, especially whenever we talk about the Dallas Cowboys. Okay, so over the last couple of days, it just kind of organically turned out to be the way that we wanted it to be here on the show, right? Or wound up organically turning into the way that it turned into here on the show. We were talking about the NFC North, what the Chicago Bears did, Aaron Rodgers being interested in being a Minnesota Viking. Then it turns out the Minnesota Vikings want absolutely nothing to do with Aaron Rodgers. And I kind of agree with that, right? Like if you're of the mindset, Minnesota, that you believe your team made Sam Darnold a $100 million player, why wouldn't you put faith in J.J. McCarthy as opposed to bringing in Aaron Rodgers and trying to get out the last remaining vestiges that he has in his career, right? So why wouldn't you just roll with him? And then that wound up being, okay, Detroit's going to take a step back. Minnesota is more than likely going to take a step back. Chicago is going to get better. And Green Bay might just wind up staying the same, right? Although I would like to see what Mirea's viewpoint is here on the Green Bay Packers. Her team, have they done enough in free agency to feel better? So we started off with the NFC North. Yesterday we spoke a little bit about the AFC North, and it was mainly surrounding what Pittsburgh is going to do at quarterback. And it feels like Pittsburgh is waiting to see what New York does, while New York is waiting to see what Pittsburgh does. And they're just going around and around in this weird circle of maybe, just maybe, one of us is going to get Aaron Rodgers, the other one is going to get Russell Wilson, right? And if I'm Pittsburgh, I don't know why I'm doing this song and dance. I'm just signing Russell Wilson. Maybe even Jameis Winston. Much better than Aaron Rodgers at this point in time. Almost as good as Dak Prescott, who is just as good as Joe Burrow. Now, Augustine, you had asked a question earlier. When did bracketology become a thing? Bracketology actually became a thing in the mid-1990s, a little bit after the NCAA tournament expanded from, what was it? I think it was like 40 teams to 64 in 1985. It was more along the lines of like, now that ESPN has become a thing, now that the internet has become a thing, and people can start putting out these brackets, it was because of the symmetry of the round of 64, right? Like, it's a perfect type of bracket where now you can create a perfect symmetrical bracket that kind of links in together. It's because of that symmetry that it became easier for people to want to fill out a bracket instead of trying to figure out all these other things, how they're going to play, how, where the seeding takes what team and how it does this and that and blah, 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 blah. It was the symmetry of it that helped create what we have with bracketology now. And I think that that's one of the really cool things whenever you look at like the history of the NCAA tournament is there was a point in time where the NCAA tournament wasn't the main tournament that was being played. That was the NIT back in the day, right? And then you have these long runs of sustained success that you get from like the Kansases, the Kentuckys, the UCLA. I always think about the Texas Western team that won their NCAA tournament because they won it in 1966, right? This is right in the middle.
between 1964 and 1976, that 12-year span where UCLA won 10 championships, including 7 in a row. The University of Texas at El Paso was able to get a championship in that time frame, and one of the most historic championships in any sports history, right? Like that's one of the cool things, one of the cool little stories that you can have with the University of Texas at El Paso. I want to give a shout out to Stan Fuller.568 who tuned in over on the Instagram feed. We're trying to grow that Instagram feed. I know it's a bit weird in trying to share those things, but if you got people in your life that love sports, go ahead and hit them up with that. Mireya Reyes saying Green Bay has Josh Jacobs running a great game, a more experienced quarterback with Jordan Love, and they went for a wide receiver one who's gone to the big game. The coach is good. The defense is good. Plus, remember, they've been one game away, even with a new quarterback that doesn't earn $33 million. Jordan Love actually makes a lot more than that. I want to say he's in the $50 million AAV since they did his new contract last season. But nonetheless, I get where you're coming from, right? I just think Green Bay has to do what they did last year. And we're going to be talking about this team as the top of the division, right? Detroit's not going to win 15 games. Minnesota's not going to win 14 games. They're going to come back down to the middle part of the brackets, and maybe, just maybe, Green Bay can win the division. And I genuinely feel like they can be that way. And I never understood whenever Aaron Rodgers left why he was like, this team has no talent around me. I can't win with this talentless franchise. I like Josh Jacobs. I didn't think Josh Jacobs was going to be as good as he was. I thought there was going to be a huge drop-off between Josh Jacobs and Aaron Jones. And I was extremely, extremely wrong on that. Mea culpa. So, we did the NFC North, we did the AFC North, so that means right now we're going to go to the AFC East. Let's talk about some of the signings that teams have had in the AFC East. We're going to start with the Buffalo Bills. These are the signings that the Buffalo Bills have had. Josh Palmer, Michael Hotek, Larry Ogunjobi, Ty Johnson. They re-signed Ty Johnson. They re-signed DeMar Hamlin. They re-signed Reggie Gillum. They go and get Derek Forrest from the Washington Commanders. They get De'Aaron Evans from the Chicago Bears, a running back to help out with the depth. They get Dane Jackson, a cornerback from the Carolina Panthers, and then they go and help out the offensive line, getting Kendrick Green from the Houston Texans. But the biggest signing that the Buffalo Bills had was being able to get Joey Bosa, who was released for whatever reason by the LA Chargers. That's going to help them out on defense because they lost Von Miller. And if you're going to lose a player like Von Miller, you might as well get a guy who's like Von Miller, but better and younger at this point in time. And I love that pickup for the Buffalo Bills. Now, I juxtapose that to where the Buffalo Bills are drafting right now, which is at number 30, and all points or everything is pointing to them drafting Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss to help out the defensive line. So he'll be there next to Joey Bosa, learning how to be a defensive player from one of the best in the NFL. Tommy Canassa saying Green Bay will win by default. They didn't do anything to get better, but other teams got worse. And Chicago got better as well, too, right? Like, that's one of the things I think we keep overlooking is it's not like Chicago was blown out of the division. They weren't terrible. They weren't good. They were just kind of eh. And I believe that Chicago's gotten a lot better too. And I believe that division now, with the mass exodus of talent that left Detroit, with the fact that Minnesota is going to come back to the norm and will be, a team that doesn't win 14 games, that whole division to me is up for grabs. But I think I'm leaning more towards Green Bay as well, being the team that could win that division outright. I've just got to see it from the Chicago Bears. Like, I have to see it on the field. It's cool to win on paper, but I need to see it on the field. The losses that the Buffalo Bills had, they lost their wide receiver, Mac Hollins. He goes into the division and gets a deal with the New England Patriots. Punter Sam Martin, no one cares about a punter.
Their center, Will Clapp, they lose him. He goes over to the New Orleans Saints on a 1-year contract, and then they lose defensive end Casey Toohill along with Von Miller as well. So it's not like they've had major losses. And this is, once again, the best team in the AFC East. I believe that they're going to continue to be the best team in the AFC East. They did lose 9 straight. The vast majority of those 9 straight games were one-possession games. So it's not like they were getting blown out. They just didn't know how to win. And whenever you got Matt Eberflus being your head coach there, not knowing what to do with 30 seconds left in the game, that's where you got it. Augustine asking, question, will Philly repeat? No. Philadelphia, we'll talk about that tomorrow with the Philadelphia Eagles and the NFC East. But Philadelphia has lost a lot of players on that defensive side, and that defense is really the reason why they won that championship. Retirements, trades, players leaving in free agency. It's been just a huge, I spoke about the mass exodus of talent from Detroit. It was a mass exodus of talent from Philadelphia as well. Augustine saying anyone that goes to the Patriots right now is just going for the paycheck. I don't know if I believe that, man. Like, I could see a scenario where the Patriots are like the second or third best team, and they're fighting for a wild card in that AFC East, man. I can genuinely see that. Another team in the AFC East, a team that's been very busy in free agency, the Miami Dolphins. These are the players that the Miami Dolphins lost, and who they lost them to. They lose Javon Holland, their free safety. He goes over to New York on a $45 million deal. Robert Jones signs with the Dallas Cowboys, getting depth along that offensive line for Dallas. Durham Smythe, the tight end, going over to Chicago. Deshaun Hand, a defensive end, going over to the LA Chargers. I always want to call them the LA Clippers, despite the fact that I know better. Adrian Zamudio over on Instagram saying, good morning to you, Adrian. Hope you're having yourself a good time. Raheem Mostert, and I did not know this, but Raheem Mostert going over to the Las Vegas Raiders, helping out the Raiders with the running back position. They lose, Miami does, Braxton Berrios to the Houston Texans. They lose tight end Jack Stoll to the New Orleans Saints. Syrian Neal, a safety, going over to the San Francisco 49ers, and Anthony Walker Jr., an inside linebacker, going over to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Get ready for this, because this is going to be a long list of names that we're going to go through. Players that the Miami Dolphins received in free agency. James Daniels, helping out the offensive line, going to Miami from Pittsburgh, getting a $24 million deal over 3 years. Terrell Dodson, an inside linebacker, they re-sign him. They get Zach Wilson from the Denver Broncos, helping out the backup quarterback position, right? That's the issue that they've had. Tua gets hurt. You had no one there that was a serviceable quarterback. I think Zach Wilson can get you a game or two, maybe. He's decent enough for that. Then they get Nick Westbrook from the Tennessee Titans. He was their leading receiver last year over at Tennessee. Ifeatu Milanofawao, I know I messed that up. The cornerback from Detroit going over to Miami as well. Ashton Davis from the Jets, a safety, going over there to see what they're doing. They're focusing on the defense, right? They know they have a lot of players on offense. They got a ton of weapons on offense whenever Tua is healthy. So we're focusing in on defense. Larry Barome going over to them, a left tackle from Chicago on a $2 million deal. They re-sign Elijah Campbell, Quentin Bell, Dwayne Eskridge, Jackson Carman. They sign Artie Burns, Alexander Madison, the running back from he was with Minnesota a couple years ago, but now he's with Miami. He was with the Las Vegas Raiders last year. They signed Farrell Brown, a tight end. They get linebacking help with Willie Gay. They get themselves a new punter in Ryan Stonehouse. And then they go out and get KJ Britt, a linebacker from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Man. I'm coughing. You guys didn't get to hear the coughing, but I was doing it. And Jinder asks, are you okay, Dad? Yes, buddy. I'm okay. Thank you for checking up on me. I appreciate that. In the draft, Miami is slated to take a safety right now. They are drafting number 13, a safety out of South Carolina. So we shall see what they do. I like what they did. Like, obviously, it sounds like a lot, right? Like a lot. But they have to do that. Their defense was so bad last year that it didn't matter how good their offense could have been. They just weren't going to win games. And you look at what they did. It's a lot of names, but it's adding depth along that defense. They get themselves a third wide receiver now to kind of help out between the Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle signings that they have. Of these guys can get double teamed. We just need someone else that can be a threat to catch the ball. That's where they get Nick Westbrook for. Augustine saying, here's my question. Which 4 teams are likely to win the Super Bowl? Any other is an outlier. We'll talk about those teams coming up again. Augustine saying, so many names and nothing exciting, and I'm in the tub. That's how bad that is. He's in the tub and on the hub at the same time. Let's go over to the New York Jets, another team in that division. The New York Jets, they bring in a lot of names once again. They bring in Jay Tufele, the defensive tackle from the Cincinnati Bengals. They sign Stone Smart. They re-sign Isaiah Oliver. They bring in Chris Boyd, Derek Nandi, Tyler Johnson. They re-sign Jermaine Davis. They re-sign or they bring in Rashad Weaver, Byron Cowart, Josh Myers, Andre Cisco, Brandon Stevens. These are names that they get in. Brandon Stevens, a good cornerback for the Baltimore Ravens. So that's a big signing for the New York Jets. And then they move on from Aaron Rodgers and they bring in Justin Fields. And Tommy and I were talking about this the other day. I like Justin Fields. I think that Justin Fields is going to be a serviceable enough quarterback that they'll be all right. I mean, they can't be much worse than what they were last season. And I feel like Justin Fields is going to be able to kind of just keep them, more or less where they are. Mireya Reyes saying some teams don't even win on paper. And then is it because he was a Raider? Is that what it is? It's just because he was a Raider? Is that what it is? The losses that the Jets had. Devontae Adams, a wide receiver. He goes over to the LA Rams on a $44 million deal. DJ Reed, they lose him, the cornerback, going over to Detroit. Want to give a shout out to Football Talk with Bo. You can catch him on Coast to Coast at noon. I guess, what is that, 10 o'clock? So it'll be following my show, I think, maybe, or an hour after my show on the National Streaming Sports Network. You can check them out on Roku, National Streaming Sports. Coast to Coast with Bo, that's my dude right there. Always having a good time. We went live on TikTok the other day. He was doing an unboxing. He told me he was going to send me a link. He never sent me the link for that camera so that I can do the cool things and move around and have the camera tripod follow me around. But no, instead, he's gatekeeping his links here. I'm joking with you, Bo. Just anytime you get a chance, my guy. I still have to always put in those caveats because I have no idea who is, like who gets my sense of humor. It is a weird sense of humor. I will say that. The Jets also losing Javion Kinlaw, Hassan Reddick, Morgan Moses, Solomon Thomas going over to the Dallas Cowboys, Ashton Davis, Wes Schweitzer, Kenny Yaboy, and also Brandon Eccles. Mireya Reyes saying unboxing is cool. I've done some unboxing videos. I always like doing the ASMR type stuff. I think I need to start doing more ASMR on this show. Now that we've got some stuff going, we can say that, okay? Augustine saying the Jets, the worst quarterback ever to win a Super Bowl. Joe Namath was horrible. Football Talk with Bo. Bo saying, haha, no links for you. No links for you. I agree with you, Augustine. One of the rare times Augustine and I agree. I do not think that Joe Namath is a Hall of Fame quarterback. He had a Hall of Fame moment, but he's not a Hall of Fame quarterback. When you go into the Hall of Fame with more interceptions than you do touchdowns, there's no reason for you to be a Hall of Famer. But then I also have to go back and remind myself that it might just be because it was a different time, right? Like the fact that you can look at the Baseball Hall of Fame Oh, we're going to get to that answer right now, Midea. We'll get to that one in a second. Jesus. You look at the names in the Baseball Hall of Fames, you got like Mordecai Three Finger Brown back in the day when your disability used to be your nickname, and he had like 14 strikeouts and he gave up like 3 home runs, but his ERA for his career was like 0.01 because they were throwing a boulder at people who were trying to hit it with a little stick, right? Like, now that's a Hall of Fame pitcher? I don't think so, but he's in because old people love old people, right? Like, even whenever we get old, we're going to be like, you remember that guy that was really good that one season? Let's put him in the Hall of Fame. That's kind of the same exact thing that Augustine was doing with Tim Tebow the other day. Okay. And then we will talk about the New England Patriots just real quick before I get over to that comment that Mireya had put up a little bit earlier. The Patriots spent over $277 million, almost $280 million in free agency this offseason. And they are going to be, in my mind, the third or second best team, right? Like, I still think the Jets are going to be the worst team in the division, but I feel like it's just that, right? Milton Williams, Carlton Davis, Harold Landry, Robert Spillane, Morgan Moses, Garrett Bradbury, Mac Hollins, Josh Dobbs, Kevon Chason, Marcus Epps, Chris Tonga, Jalen Hawkins, Jack Gibbons, and Wes Schweitzer, right? None of those names, I guess maybe Milton Williams might be the sexy name there. Carlton Davis might be the sexy name. You're trying to help out that defense, right? Maybe that's what it is. But one of the issues that New England had was on the offensive side. I don't think Mac Jones. Wow. Mac Hollins is the guy that's going to be the one that changes the fortunes of this franchise. Now, I mean, they are going on and saying, you make it sound like A-Rod is washed up. He really isn't. It's not that he's washed up. I think that people are just tired of his act, right? And if you look at what they did last year with the Jets, this past season with the Jets, the team was bad whenever the games mattered. Whenever the games didn't matter, they were still bad, but they were putting up points. And that's just because Aaron Rodgers was targeting Devontae Adams, his bestie, 30 times a game to just get them yards and yards and yards and yards and yards. That to me is part of the reason why, right? Like he's a one-trick pony at this point. He doesn't have a beautiful deep ball like he used to have. He's not very accurate on the short passes like that we've seen. If he goes to Pittsburgh, I don't think his personality matches with the team that's there. As a matter of fact, you had Cam Hayward come out yesterday and say, I don't care about the dark retreats. I don't care about any of that stuff. You either want to be here or you don't. And that tells me right now that the Pittsburgh Steelers are like, look, we're not waiting 6 weeks on this guy. Like, we've got other things that we need to do. Like we've got to get this team going. We have new personalities on this team. If we're going to have a new quarterback, he has to ingratiate himself to this whole team. And yes, Mireya, I see that you put in the offensive line here, right? The Jets' offensive line was ranked number 11 as far as offensive line units go. So that means there were 19, 21 worse teams with an offensive line out there than what the New York Jets had. His offensive line isn't going to be the excuse. You're one position away from being a top 10 offensive line. That's not terrible. It's Aaron Rodgers doesn't have the mobility he used to have, which you shouldn't expect him to because he's 40 years old coming off a ruptured Achilles, right? And that's what made him special, was his ability to kind of move around and do a bunch of different things. All right, y'all. I think I'm going to go over my I think I'm about to go over my time, so I got to go. I appreciate everyone in the comments. We'll continue the conversation tomorrow. Tomorrow's a TIP VIP Friday. We'll see you all then.